Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the Ace Trainer Podcast. My name is Jaws, and I'm joined by Necra, and this is our first episode. It's
Uh,
going to be exciting. A brand new thing we're undertaking, Necra. It's going to be so good. I just want to talk about Pokemon news. That's really it, to be honest.
yeah, I mean, that's why we're here, right? Is to talk about all of the
Yes.
news that happens across all of the different platforms, all of the different games and IPs. And I'm excited. This first episode's going to definitely be kicking everything off with a bang.
Oh, yes, it is. And speaking of which, new sets came out recently, and one set that has been previewed was leaked before and then now previewed fully. We have the brilliant Stars, and we thought we'd quickly go over what that's been looking like. And honestly, it's one of my favorite sets in recent memory, Necro, because they brought back the character secret rares, which are the
Mm-hmm.
full art character and Pokemon cards that contain both, and they aren't like one per three boxes or anything like that. It reminds me
Yeah.
of Cosmic Eclipse.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Cosmic Eclipse. I have some like good and also bad memories of opening up Cosmic Eclipse. I think that was one of the first TCG sets that I got really excited about, just kind of collecting cards and trying to build up a master set. So it is a very refreshing surprise to see how frequently you can actually get those trainer gallery art cards in Brilliant Stars.
Yeah, it's really nice. I've always been a fan of Pokemon with their trainers, and that stems back all the way to like Gym Heroes and Gym Challenge, like two of
Mm-hmm.
my favorite sets of all time. Just having a Pokemon's trainer alongside them, and to be honest with you, any art card that also contains characters from the game and the anime and a Pokemon, and more specifically their Pokemon, like one of my favorite cards, Sabrina's Alakazam, all the way back from Gym Challenge. That's awesome. She isn't in the card, but she's present on it, and the name's there too in the title. And
Mm-hmm.
having the art gallery cards is so sick because you get to see them almost in their natural. It sounds kind of strange, but like natural habitat, if you know what I mean. Not like, oh,
Yeah.
they live under a rock if they're a Geodude, but like actually in the world, and it brings the cards to life a little bit more.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that was one of the things that really stood out to me the most about those cards specifically is that, I love getting a chance to see Gary like back with all
Yeah.
of the different EV evolutions, and it's just like it looks like the Pokemon are having a lot of fun, and then also it also brings me back to some of the earlier memories that I have of just watching the anime in the morning every Saturday morning, and just kind of being able to piece everything together. It really does connect everything so much more.
Yeah, and it's good to see a little bit more variety too, right? I mean, I feel like it was a test run in Cosmic Eclipse, and then they were like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh God, everybody loves these cards! Like, what the hell?" And I'm glad they didn't up the rarity of them at all. And like, speaking of rarity and trying new things, of course, we have the V Star mechanics too, and the V Star cards. And of course, Charizard had to get one. Let's be real;
Mm-hmm.
they couldn't do a new thing without a Charizard being one of the first cards. And for V Star, I kind of like it. It's moving on from like the V's and the V Maxes, and now we're going into V Stars. And I'm personally like very vintage minded. I love the old EX from like Generation
Mm-hmm.
3, Ruby Sapphire era, Team Rocket, EX Team Rocket Returns, for example. The iteration, I think nowadays is happening so quickly. Like, what do you think of the V Star? I like the cards themselves, the artwork and the
Mm-hmm.
color scheme is great, but I'm not sure. I feel like we're moving quite rapidly at this point.
Yeah, when you think about like the V Star mechanic in just the overall TCG competitive realm, I agree with you. I think that it's quick on its feet. At first, we had the V cards, and then we moved into V Max, and it was a pretty natural transition because in the video game we have Dynamax and we also have Gigantamax. And so,
Yeah.
those two kind of things paralleled each other in certain ways where you did have stronger abilities or stronger move sets with cards that were VMAX that evolved from V. But V Star is super different, but you can only use it once in a game. So you have to
Yes.
really pick and choose when you want to use that mechanic. And so that just kind of ups the difficulty level a little bit. And yeah, it cycles through the metagame a lot faster.
Yeah, and that's what that's why I'm a little bit like 50-50 on the V-Star because of how rapid it's been over the last like year or so with the amount of mechanics that have been added. Yeah,
Hmm.
I guess it can be quite confusing for newer players, but kind of exciting for older players too, because a year and a meta being around for a year or like a mechanic being around for a year is a fairly long time. I just worry about for the people that are coming into the card game, because of course we've had a giant boom in popularity over the last couple of years, some for good, some for bad, but I think majority of it is good considering more people are getting in, and the Pokemon Company are printing more cards, of course, which is great.
Yeah.
So everybody can kind of enjoy it, which is good. And speaking of like new sets and stuff too, Astral Radiance got leaked a couple of weeks ago or a week and a half ago. The French set, the French version of the set of it, I guess. But now we actually have English products, and they've announced their different promo cards and whatnot. So that's been really cool. And it looks like it's based on Arceus or Legend of Arceus
Hmm.
and the game. They're adding a ton of Pokemon from that specific region.
Yeah, I was so excited to get a chance to see like Hisuian Decidueye, Typhlosion, just go into the mix of cards. And I think that also seems like a very natural progression for the TCG to go in, because we have Legends Arceus, and it's been so much fun to play and so much fun to see all of the new patches come through. We've got like massive outbreaks now, which I think is really fun, especially if you're a shiny hunter. That's kind of great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited. The cards look so sick.
Yeah, they do look really cool, and having different forms of one Pokemon too is, I think, really awesome. I've always liked having different forms, whether that's, the male to female Pikachu, or like super basic if you want, but the unknowns, they're
Yeah.
one Pokemon, but they have a billion forms. And I like the idea of that, because maybe one of those is your favorite Pokemon and now it has a different form completely. And then, yeah, it just expands the Pokemon world a whole bunch. And there was no way they weren't going to include that in a TCG set. The Japanese versions of the sets, Battle Region, which will include a lot of the Hisuian, Typhlosion, Scizorwise, Samurai, etc., and the Time Gazer and Space Juggler sets too. What a name, by the way, Space Juggler. Like, if we don't have a Mr. Mime juggling in those sets as a card art, I'm gonna be pretty annoyed. So you have the Origin Form Dialga and Palkia in there too, and of course Japan, they released a ton of sets compared to the English, and English kind of meld them into one. And a part of me is like, I kind of wish we had the Japanese way of
I
doing things and
know.
releasing a ton of sets. Could open a ton of boxes, but at the same time, I'm like, man, that would hurt my wallet a ton. I'm glad we only have one set or two sets that contain these kind of things.
I don't actually think I'd be able to keep up. If we had that many
Yeah.
sets
Oh my
coming out
god.
as expansions, I don't know how many binders I would need for that. And also just like I don't think yeah, I couldn't keep up.
There's absolutely no way. I'm excited for Astral Radiance.
Hmm.
I still need to open some Brilliant Stars, so I want to at least get my hands on some of the character artworks that are from the trainer gallery, which is definitely my favorite part of the set. And just to quickly skip back to that, actually, real quick, I actually prefer a lot of those cards to the like ultra rare, secret rare,
Hmm.
just because how they look and how common they are too. I managed to complete a Japanese set of Cosmic Eclipse, or the trainer artworks anyway,
That's
and an
impressive.
English set of those two. So I'll probably end up doing that again. I even got the Lily too, the promo Lily from
Oh,
Japan when I was over there, which is
nice.
great. I just went over there at the perfect time. Didn't even realize. I was like, wow, that Lily card's really cool. It's like 500 yen or like $5 or whatever. And now it's quite a lot of money. So I'm like, oh, nice. Not bad. It's definitely going to be kept in my binder there. That's for sure.
Hmm.
Speaking of money and monies and expensive things, the Illustrator card, or one of them, got
Oh my
sold the other
gosh.
week. PSA 9 for nine, no, PSA 7, sorry, for $900,000 US dollars, which is the single greatest amount of money spent on a single Pokemon card. And the Illustrator card, for those people who aren't aware, was an award from a magazine competition where you got to draw your own cards, and if they made those cards and they chose the best artworks or whatever, and it was a kids competition, of course, you were awarded with a illustrated Pikachu card. And now I don't think anybody knows the exact number of illustrated cards that were distributed, and an even less number, of course, are actually out there in the wild right now,
Hmm.
and being a high grade too. But a PSA 7 sold for 900,000, Rose. Like, that's ridiculous.
It's it's in it's incredible to think about, because when you think about buying a slab, You're like, oh, I only really want a PSA 9 or a PSA 10. And those
Yeah.
by themselves, when you look at individual slabs like that, can be really expensive. On top of that, it's a rare card that there are only a handful of available. And it's just a PSA 7. That's
Yeah.
absolutely nuts to think about. I mean, what would a PSA 9 go for? That's what I
Well,
want
that's
to
it.
know. Like 1.5
I,
million?
I'm not sure. Like, so if you look at the historical price data for the Illustrated Pikachu, and of course you got to remember that Pokemon did explode over the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, for good and for bad. And in late 2019, New York auction, Pikachu Illustrator card got sold for 195,000 US dollars. In 2020, a PSA 9 copy sold in the Japanese marketplace for 233. So a 9 in 2020, 2 years ago, sold for 233 versus a 7 now, which is sold for 900. I'm getting all this information, by the way, from pokerbeach.com. They've written a fantastic article on it. If you want to go check that out, I'll leave a link in the description. But how ridiculous is that? And then it gets more ridiculous, Rose, because in February 2021, a PSA 7 copy sold for $375,000. So it tripled in price almost
Mm-hmm.
in a year. Like, that is insane. That is like unheard of. You do not see this kind of stuff every day.
No, you really don't. And even when you think about some of the just more expensive cards, like I feel like the Hollow Blastoise from, base set 1 is really expensive, or like the Dark Blastoise. There are a lot of cards out there that are considered pretty pricey. And I
Yeah.
always thought, like, oh, wow, I'd never be able to get my hands on a PSA 10 base set Charizard. And now I'm like, well, the dream is gone. I know that card value is just going up intensely. And this is
Yes.
a perfect example of what that looks like.
Yeah, a picture perfect example. And I think speaking about that and like the price spikes, I do think we're gonna hit a point at in the recent in the in the decent in the recent no in the near future where things will start to plateau, and that we'll
Hmm.
probably end up seeing a small dip in the market, or maybe a little bit of a bigger dip. I think the hype is still very real, and normally when that does happen, the hype dies down, the prices end up falling a little bit. We honestly have seen that recently with the vintage booster boxes being opened up by a lot of people, and those prices now not plummeting, but definitely not where they were maybe a year ago. So
Hmm.
maybe 900,000 for a PSA 7 is a little bit too much. We'll have to wait and see. And I just want to correct myself a little bit early on about the number of copies that are available, Rose. It's estimated a maximum of 39 copies of the card are
Wow.
awarded, but that's only an estimate. However, there are only 24 are still known to exist thanks to PSA. So the graded versions of the cards, there are 24. The others that are missing, maybe again given out to kids for entering a Korokoro magazine competition, they're probably either destroyed or in a box somewhere, kind of tattered up like a lot of people's old cards were. So it's kind of safe to say that we're only ever going to see 24 that are currently out there. If another one crops up, I doubt it's going to be a high grade on PSA, but knowing there's only 24, kind of ridiculous. Not
Yeah.
a PSA 9 though, that's going to sell for a whole lot of money. But yeah, I mean, okay, let's move on real fast because we have big news around the video games, Rose.
Oh, yes, we do. Oh my gosh. So, this is where I feel like my area of expertise can come in. Like, I've played the video games so much, and like, I play competitively. So, I feel like it's just really exciting to know that we are finally getting Generation 9. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are here. And I don't know about you, Jaws, but when I was watching the Pokemon Presents and I saw the video that they were playing at the very end, I was like, are we getting Detective Pikachu too? Like, is that what's happening here? Are we getting the series? And then no, I was so shocked and I was so pleasantly surprised that no, we're getting new main series games.
Yeah, it's pretty. Oh, though say that they definitely will release Pikachu Detective 2. I can bet money on it at this
I
point.
know.
There's no way they don't.
They will.
But it was super exciting, and based in another European country too. I like the fact that they're almost like doing the rounds in the different countries. It's great.
Hmm.
Of course, we had the British one recently in Sword and Shield, and now we're going to Spain, which is really cool. It's like a completely different kind of climate, and that's what I like too. A lot of the Pokemon are kind of based on these climate aspects. Like you look at the British one, you have Wooloo, like sheep, pretty
Yeah.
prevalent in the UK countryside and like the Welsh countryside and stuff like that. So that's really cool. So I'm really excited to see Spanish themed Pokemon
Hmm.
forms and like Spanish kind of wildlife being integrated into the Pokemon universe. That is pretty awesome. I am pretty hyped for it. And okay, I'm getting ahead of myself here, but I hope they go to an extremely snowy, cold place next. I hope they go to like Sweden or Norway or something, just to round out. So we had like the kind of bad weather in the UK, really good weather in Spain, and then really good skiing weather in like Norway or Sweden or something. I think that would be pretty sick. But there is new mechanics in the VGC, or kind of looks like it.
Potentially. Okay, so here's where we get a little bit theory crafty, right? Is in the past when we've had a new mechanic introduced, there's been a little icon in the logo itself that ends up being related somewhat to what the mechanic looks like in the video game. So we see a little one. There's a little one in the Pokemon Scarlet and the Pokemon Violet logos. So who knows what the actual mechanic is going to be? I mean, maybe it's like a something equivalent to like a V Star mechanic in the TCG. Like maybe that's a little bit of a hint, or it has something to do with maybe having Dynamax, Z moves, and Megas all in the same category. I really hope
Oh my
that's not
god,
what it is, because
yeah, that'll be
that's extreme.
crazy.
But
Yeah,
we'll
all of
see.
them combined into one.
Nah, no, no thanks.
A little bit too much. Well, along the lines of the video games, Pokemon Go has gone to Alola, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, I'm pumped. I've been playing like the Festival of Colors is something that is available right now. So having Oricorio introduced into the game has been really exciting. I'm a little sad that it's a regional variant. So like the Flabebe that got released a little while ago, you can only get like a specific version of Oricorio in different areas of the world. And since there's four, they are spread out pretty far across the globe. But it is a little exciting that you do have these regional forums that I guess you can go hunt for on your journeys around the world with Pokemon Go. But yeah, Alola, it's great. I'm so happy that it's finally in the game.
They are catching up fast though with the generations of Pokemon. It's kind of scary. Soon, honestly, by the time Scarlet and Violet come out, we might actually be on that region in Pokemon Go, which would be
True.
pretty awesome. And then there's almost infinite Pokemon to catch. Like it's gonna be insane. Unite's been doing pretty well too. They had a new Pokemon released, Duraludon.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that name owns me every single time. I don't know why, but it just does. I can never pronounce it when I see the character in game or the Pokemon in game. Can't pronounce it. This is written on this bit of paper. Like it's insane.
There are a few that I have of that one too. Like, is it Dracloak, Dracloa? Like, I don't even
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
We just like skip it and go Dragapult. But yeah, Duraludon is in Unite. I have not had the chance to actually play with that license yet, but Duraludon is definitely a really cool Pokemon to see, and it looks like there are some other characters that are going to be released into the game also. So I can't wait to see what that means for the competitive meta. I mean, we just had one of the first regional championships in the
Yeah.
Unite World Championship Series, and that was Game and Esports actually taking that title, or the Game and Warriors. And so that's the old TTV team that had been absolutely tearing through the North American scene. So are they going to use Duraludon? What's going to happen? And I feel like we can only hope to find out when we have future Unite Series tournaments.
Yeah, that's down the line, I'm sure. I hope so at least.
Yeah.
Esports, I think it could be something pretty special. Like obviously very grassroots at the time being, but building up with the help of the Pokemon
Hmm.
Company is always a good thing. A quick note too, something we'll touch on a little bit later, not in this podcast, but another episode. The Pokemon Go trading card expansion kind of side expansion kind
Hmm.
of thing happening soon, which is great. I don't know if you've ever seen, but like the very, very bootleg Pokemon cards that are just really bad, and sometimes they'd include like the Pokemon Go like symbol on them.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, we have that but official now, which is great. I think it's really cool that they're integrating Pokemon Unite into the card game, but that's something to go over another time. Also, and the last docket thing on the docket is the live events returning. VGC, TCG, and Go online events have started for Unite 2, like you were saying a second ago, Rose, and the first regional will be back in Salt Lake City on March 19th.
Yeah, so that's just coming up this weekend. I'll actually hopefully see some of you there. I'm gonna be one of the VGC commentators, but it's just exciting to get back to live events. Honestly, one of the things that I feel like has always been missing, because in the past few years we've had online tournaments, but there's just something about a live event that hits different. When you're in the convention hall, you have your opponent in front of you. You can feel the adrenaline pumping and just the energy overall, and then also a live crowd. Jaws, I know you feel this. I
Oh,
know
yeah.
you feel this, but like having a live audience is something that completely changes the game when it comes down to actually casting. You have people to feed off of their reactions, and you can get so much more hype and so much
Yeah.
more excited when you hear how the audience is responding to what you have to say and what's happening on screen.
Yeah, it's definitely something I'm glad the Pokemon Company are moving towards. And it has been a tough couple of years for every esport and every kind of competitive game, to be fair. And yeah, like feeding off the crowd energy is crazy. Sometimes you don't need to even need to say anything because the crowd's going so mad, like they're carrying the cast for you. So yeah, I'm really happy that you're going and actually being part of a live event. And plus, you get to meet new people, make new friends
Mm-hmm.
over there too, and just like be around people that also love the thing that you are doing too. So like it's an all big plus, and maybe that means we get some hidden sneak peeks of the new Pokemon sets, or like just something extra that doesn't really hit home as hard as like an online presentation or online YouTube video does. Because if they announce something new, hey, guess what? There's a live crowd also reacting to
Yeah.
that brand new thing. I remember when the tag team Pokemon cards got announced and the Zekrom and Pikachu card got flashed up on screen. Everybody was like, "Oh my god, like that's crazy!" You know what I mean? So that kind of stuff, I'm really excited for. Also, yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's about it. I think we've covered most of the news for the week. I'm excited for Scarlet and Violet. It's going to be sick, and I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on Astral Radiance, the promos for those cards. And we did get a lot of our information from pokebeach.com. Yeah,
Yeah. Great first episode, and hopefully we go
I
see
know.
you all for the next one.
Yeah, like and subscribe. And yeah, our Twitters are, of course, down below if you wanted to follow us there too. And other than that, we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for stopping by, and peace out.